Welcome to another episode of the SEO Mad Scientist podcast. My name is Mike, your host, and today we are going to be taking a behind the scenes look of one of our tests prior to an upcoming update. This test is how effective is landing page optimization for your GBP listing. And for anyone following along with the SEO Mad Scientist, this is essentially a test where we have been throwing all kinds of content on the homepage of our website that our GBP is linking to and watching the effects of the listing and the rankings. So when I say throwing content on, what I mean is that we have taken AI content that we have given loose directions based on suggestions from Pareto, competitor parity, metrics, things like keywords in the headings, how many headings. And to be honest, there's a few things we're going to be going over in this video that didn't really even occur as at first when we were even trying this. But more importantly, let's just jump right into it and take a look, and I'll catch you up to speed. So essentially, we set up this test, and we took these terms. We gave AI all these terms here, told it to write content for the homepage of our website for all these terms, and it essentially came back with all of this content here. And as you can see, it essentially took the terms that we had given it and turned those into headings and wrote a content about these terms. So we have a lot of long tail terms: best local SEO company for retailers in Omaha, affordable SEO services for small businesses in Omaha. And as we looked into our first update, we can see that there was a pretty big effect for this content update. Prior to updating this content, there was nothing on the homepage of the website. It was just the team, which had no target keywords, company description, which was digital marketing, online marketing terms, nothing SEO related. So it was a complete clean test, everything not ranking or showing on GeoGrids at all when making this update. And we see SEO agency popping a little bit. SEO expert, I think, was the biggest term we saw showing up from this update. But we could see that we started showing specifically for the headings. Affordable SEO services for small businesses in Omaha. There were best local SEO companies for retailers in Omaha. And here's some side-by-sides. Again, you can go look at the full update yourself. As we moved into the next update, we still saw some consistent growth after doing another update. So in this second update, what we essentially did is went back to our AI and we took all of these terms that were the semantic triples and related terms, and we gave it to the AI, said, write this content, incorporate all these terms. Again, nothing really fancy, but essentially change up all the content. And more importantly, we used a lot more competitor parity metrics. So we packed this thing full of headings. We put a ton of keywords. I think there was, like 18. There's about 1,000. This is the wrong snapshot. I need to get a new snapshot here. There was actually more. There was like 1,600, 1,700 words on the page. This is the content here that it was written. And it had a lot of the same things. Very long tail, optimize local SEO, unlock potential keywords and search queries. Not really even long tail, more statement terms, all in the headings, except for these services here. And this was the initial result, which we thought was maybe some slight growth or movement. But moving into the last check we did on this on the 13th, everything completely dropped off except for our brand and our online marketing terms, which online marketing is our GBP primary category. But all of these other terms, if we go look at SEO expert, like I said, that was the main term. And the interesting thing is it took about a month for this to take effect. Okay, so we made the update on It was here on 4/26, 2024 to this crazy content, had a ton of headings, all these long tail, not, I keep saying long tail, more descriptive headings, very little bit of actual content per heading, so very unoptimized, and completely just based around competitor parity. Nothing else taken into consideration. And we'll go over some of these competitors in a minute, but some of these things definitely threw off our metrics quite a bit, and I'll show you why. But sorry, I'm jumping around quite a bit. We did this on April 28th, I believe I said, April 26th, which was about right here. And you can see April 23rd is when we first saw this kind of impact of the first on-page update. On April 26th, we did the second update, and then on June 6th is when it completely dropped. So it was, what, 2 weeks? 2 weeks or so. And I believe when we did our first update, because I think we're looking so far at about a 2 to 4 week span. We started this and did the first update on March 28th, and it was on the April 23rd. So about 2 to 4 weeks, 2 to 3 weeks, we see this on-page update take effect, at least in the last 2 revisions we did. But this last one, again, everything completely dropped off, all the SEO related terms, and when we look at the content of the original optimization, again, this is it here. This score is completely different now that we used actually in the second optimization. We'll go over that in a second. But if we look for expert on here, for example, we can see at the top here in the first few words, SEO expert referenced. We have expert, expertise referenced, and a few times up here, team of experts. And then we have down here an actual H3 with expert and Omaha SEO expert, and some more references to SEO expert itself. So we kind of saw from the very get-go when SEO expert started ranking that there was kind of this importance to this reference up here, which we saw in previous tests as well. And then, of course, the headings, but specifically the H3s seem to carry the most weight, at least at this point with the very limited data we had from this one test. But we also saw the same thing with the keywords best local SEO company for retailers in Omaha, local SEO company in Omaha, affordable SEO services for small businesses in Omaha, East Omaha SEO Solutions. The SEO Solutions terms also showed up really well because we tracked all these individual headings. And as you can see, though, even with these current metrics, this was very unoptimized, but it still was performing fairly well in local for SEO expert. And when we changed the second optimization for the on-site, we actually changed the domain. So we were originally on omnidigitalonlinemarketing.sitehome.co, and then when we updated the last update, we changed it to omni.hostio.me and redirected the old site. But we can see what the old site was essentially ranking for with the first update, or starting to rank for, and now the new one. So this is the first website here, and we can see that it was showing in the first 100 for Omaha SEO Expert and local SEO Omaha, and I think that's pretty much the only Omni Digital affordable SEO services for small businesses, specifically another one that we saw it ranking for. And SEO Expert Omaha SEO Expert. So both of these all ranking organically, showing organically for the website. And again, we were showing very well once this updated in local. But then when we came over to this new site and we look at the rankings for this since we started, we can see that there's no terms for SEO experts. Omni medical marketing is there. SEO digital marketing, and marketing is in the brand name, so we can expect marketing to essentially be a more targeted term. But all of our SEO terms completely dropped off when we did that last update with all the long tail headings, very thin content, really no targeting for any specific service or keywords. It was 100% focused on just packing it with. I believe these metrics here were somewhat what we used. So we had like 9 headings. I think it was actually 18 H3s at the time. It was like 1,800 keywords. Now, Pareto is updating with the SERPs, and I believe I can go back and look at the previous data, but I don't want to go dig through all that right now. But we essentially did all of this with no regards to anything else, put it on the page, and we could see that the previous terms that we're ranking aren't showing organically on the new site, and it essentially tanked all the terms on here. So far what we have concluded is that the headings, the content, all of that is a big impact on local rankings. But a good identifier of if it's going to impact the GeoGrid rankings is if you're impacting the organic for the local terms is essentially it. Now this is interesting though, because in this case specifically, when I go and I look at the competitors in Pareto here, and this is what I noticed, and this is probably more specific to the SEO niche because of, we're doing SEO as SEOs for organic, and there's also local SEOs that are showing in local, but there's a lot of organic SEOs ranking for, Omaha SEO company that aren't showing in maps because they don't have a map pack. So when we go over to Google and search for, search for Omaha SEO company. Let me pull this over here. And of course I have the safe search on, but let me put SEO company. Omaha SEO company pulls the exact match domain, so they own that. So we see Omaha SEO company. Okay, obviously they got the brand name, but then there's also Big Red SEO, Omaha SEO and Web Design Agency. But Big Red SEO especially, I don't believe are showing anywhere in these top sites. Big Red, this is Red Blink. That's, of course, I've been to the site before, so that could be showing there, but yeah, and this is Big Red SEO. So essentially the on page that I was optimizing for was based on organic, not local. But at the same time, we saw that the organic heavily tied into the local rankings. But at the same time, when I started to look at the competitors, and I realized that a lot of the page was extremely over-optimized, that was because the top ranking sites were built mostly by SEOs, so they're very content heavy, very heavy with backlinks. There's definitely a lot more going on there than just simply the on page that are contributing to local rankings, which was interesting to see. So I want to repeat these tests a little bit more with a niche where the organic and the local line up a little bit more. But we can definitely draw the conclusion that understanding what is impacting organic ranking for for the main page, for your main website so far that your GBP is linking to, is definitely playing a part, especially to the point that changing that could drastically impact your rankings, as we can see that it completely destroyed all the rankings here. So we're going to go back and update the on page one more time. We're not going to change the website, so we're going to continue on this omni.hostio.me and put the and do the on page in a way that is still written by AI, not so much on competitor parity, but based on our initial findings of essentially what was making this initial content rank, which we saw was this initial reference of terms up here, the H3s in relation to H2s, and then also the content within the headings. And I don't have the test now. If you go back at previous tests, we'll find it. I'll put a reference to it in the test here. Last year, we did do tests, or it might have even been a little bit previous to that, which was similar to this, about the impacts of on-page on GBP rankings. More specifically, we were testing what elements impacted things the most by testing different terms in different areas, and I believe some made-up terms as well. Headings were one of the biggest impacts for local rankings, but as we know, headings are such a major impact for organic as well, so that kind of makes sense with these new findings. Well, I shouldn't say new findings, with these current findings on this test. But at the same time, on that test, we found things like the menu items, and not just menu items as in links to pages, but just having things in the menus with very little optimized content on inner pages, things in the footer links and things like that all played a part. So I'll find a link to that. We'll put that in this test here, and you could follow along and look at those. But on this test, we're going to use that data, essentially the data that we've gathered from this test, do another update to the page. By the time you're watching this, we'll probably have done the update, and we're going to do it not in parity with competitors. We're going to do it more in the aspect of what we've seen Google is looking at from the rankings perspective of optimizing for local. So in the beginning, we kind of threw our content at it, optimized for long tail terms, and we saw that the headings and content definitely impacted the rankings. In the second update, we essentially went completely on competitor parity and didn't pay attention to any of the details of how we were optimizing for service terms or how we were communicating services or any of that. Literally just getting every heading in, and every heading was a statement essentially, because we were trying to get all of our keywords in about 15 to 20 headings based on the competitor parity that we were using. And in that scenario, tanked the rankings completely. So just going on competitor parity, definitely not something you want to do, especially if you're not paying very close attention to the competitors and what they're actually doing and why they're ranking in the first place. With all that said, now we're going to do this third revision, throwing everything out the window, still using AI, not so much focused on optimizing for exact ways with the headings or putting keywords in competitor parity. We are going to be optimizing it strictly with the headings that we have seen have the most impact, short tail terms, references in the content, and so on. And we will have an update for you very shortly on this. Should be in about a week or 2 weeks. So far, we've been on about a 2 to 3 week turnaround, it looks like, for Google to pick this up. We did not submit the last revisions to Google, which is interesting. And we did not switch the website, and it seemed to happen a little bit quicker. So that definitely could have been a factor, because on the first update we changed from this URL, the Omni Digital Online Marketing, to the Omni, and then everything had to redirect. It took almost a month for those local effects to seem to take place. When we just updated this content on here, it seemed to be about 2 weeks-ish. So again, we should have this updated by now that you're watching this. I'm thinking it'll probably have been up for a few days, maybe even a week. So probably in the next week or two, we'll have a final update and get to see what these impacts have made on the page and see if we could pull out some more information as to what impacts these rankings, not just from a heading and content perspective, but outside of competitor parity, because we're essentially not focusing on that at all at this point and just focusing on the data that we have available. So until the next episode, I'm again your host, Mike Miles. Thanks for joining me on the SEO Mad Scientist podcast, and we will see you next time.